Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 605. I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward, joined by Christine Sterling, a heartwarming Western and contemporary romance author who writes about finding faith, family, and finding love. But you know what? She is also a wonderful coach for our Groundbreakers program. And she's been a student of mine for some time. I'm a big fan of Christine, and I'm glad you're here. How are you?
I am doing great. I'm a big fan of
Good.
yours too.
Oh,
No, yeah,
shucks.
I
I'm
know. I
glad.
am just so happy to be able to sit here and to talk about everything and selling more books.
All the author things, all the wonderful things. I mean, you and I have both been in this for years and years. You've written so many books. You've seen a lot of the changes, but I think there's a lot of people who maybe wouldn't consider themselves super tech savvy or super up to speed with the latest, and yet you continue to grow each year. You continue to get more sales each year, write more books each year. Do you think people must stay up with every technological thing and chase every chase everything? Like, why? People really feel a need to do that chasing, don't they?
They do, whether they are whatever the shiny object is.
Yeah.
They're all distractions. They're distractions from writing and publishing our next book. So the question that you asked is, do we have to keep up with everything? I think it's good to be aware of what's going on, but you don't have to do a deep dive or a rabbit hole with a lot of it. Asking questions, asking the right questions to the right people, I think it's really going to help out. I don't know everything. I've got people that, team members that do things for me because I'm like, I don't have time to do that. So I'll send people out on what I call research missions. Can you please go and find out about this and report back to me? And so I'm a firm believer in sharing knowledge. And that's with the right community. And certainly if you have a coach of your own, I mean, I know I go to you with questions all the time about things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love answering them. And I think that you put it really well. Because look, asking the right questions to the right people doesn't necessarily mean you pay a coach. You just need to have kind of the right people, the right community, the right kind of people to connect with. It doesn't necessarily mean you're paying someone, but it certainly can help if you have that neutral third party of a coach.
I love coaching. I love having a coach. I've had a coach most of my career, and I've learned something. And every time I've gone to a new coach, it's been an up level. Because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I definitely want somebody else that I can go and ask questions to. But you're absolutely right. When I started out, I had a very tight-knit community of authors around me in my genre. I'm still friends with all of them. I'm still working with them. We still exchange ideas. And there are some incredible Facebook communities where authors step up and help each other. And so there are resources out there for low cost, no cost that authors can definitely use to find out information, find out what steps they need to take next in their author career, critique groups for asking about covers or blurbs or content, reading partners, things like that. There's so much that you can find.
I think the only issue with the free resources is you kind of need to vet who answers the questions and make sure they actually know their stuff and they don't have an agenda.
Correct.
Because it is tough. It is tough, I think, because otherwise you risk just following the followers and they're just saying some half-baked version of something they heard, and there a lot of rumors get spread around and you don't necessarily know who is saying something they know versus something that they heard one time.
Or regurgitating from a course
Yeah,
that they took 7 years ago. That is completely outdated and
exactly.
never been updated.
Exactly. So I'm excited to dive in here. Remember, if you want to follow some of Christine's stuff, if you go to christinesterling.com, it does redirect to some of the places where you can join Christine's email list and find out more about what she's doing, which I actually think is way better than a website personally. Redirecting to kind of a link tree is actually really smart. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? But a couple weeks ago, we had a question: what brings you the most joy in your author career? And I'll ask this one to you as well in a second, Christine. But
Mhm.
Petey Jansen said, helping others bring their books to life, which I love. Randy L. Scott said, the pride/joy of accomplishing a dream since childhood. I've completed a great story, a saga of epic proportions. It was only talk for so many years, and now it is complete. And then Jamie Davis said, communicating with readers. Love
I
that,
love that.
Jamie. Yeah. So, Christine, what brings you the most joy in your author career?
Well, my author career spans more than just writing books, as we
Right.
talked about previously. One of the things that brings me the most joy is being a cheerleader for other authors and
Mm,
watching them to grow to success, watching them publish their first book, and then all of a sudden they've got 20 books, and watching them grow with marketing and their skill sets and forming their own um, author communities. Different
yeah.
genres. They may not be in my author community, but I just love watching them grow. And I get so much joy out of helping authors build a sustainable author career.
I love
And then
that.
I'm always excited about publishing a new book.
Yeah, well, it's fun and it's fun for readers and it's fun for
Mhm,
like I think we put so much pressure on ourselves with these launches sometimes that it takes some of the fun out, but we
mhm.
can have fun
We absolutely can.
and we
I
deserve
just
it.
enjoy every step of the process.
Oh,
Mhm.
good. Good. I love that. Well, let's get into the top story of the week: one-click translations. Amazon has introduced a beta service to offer AI-powered translations for KDP authors, according to a recent press release. Kindle Translate, which is available in beta to select authors, will allow translations between English and Spanish and from German to English. KDP author Kristen Painter said, quote, foreign translations open doors to new readers around the world and give my titles a second life. It's one of the smartest ways to expand both reach and revenue, end quote. The books processed through Kindle Translate will be available for purchase and download on Amazon with clear labels for Kindle Translate titles. Amazon says that more language options will be introduced in the future. Christine, tell me one way or the other. When you heard about this feature, were you like, shiny object? Were you like, yes, definitely try? Were you like, if I did this, people would hate me? I mean, what came to you when you heard about this one?
For me personally, I was like, no, I've got a narrator that I really like. And in terms of doing the foreign translations, um, it's something I am branching into now. So when
Mm-hmm.
I heard about the AI translations going into foreign languages, that seems to be a hot button within the community, whether it is Amazon that's doing it through their Kindle or whether it is through another service, another third party service that's doing translations. Um, it's the wave of the future. I'm going to probably hang back and just see what happens, because I'm not a first out of the gate sort of person. I want a tried true method. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I do see a lot of shiny object around this where authors are like, yes, now I can go over to Amazon and have them do my book. Um, I don't know yet what
Yeah,
limitations there's going to be on the books. I mean, Amazon's going to own that. Where are you allowed to put it? Is it just an Amazon book? I mean, there's going to be other questions that come up.
that's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
I think readers, it's still a very divisive topic, but
Mm-hmm.
I think readers are looking for a good story and
Yeah.
however they can get that good story. And the great thing about these one-click translations is you as an author, whatever your genre is, are going to be able to reach new readers.
Right.
So it's a low entry point to, if you want to take one of your books and try it, see how it works, maybe something from your backlist that is way back. And then later you decide whether you want to hire a real person.
Yeah. Pretty interesting that they're starting with the English to Spanish,
Mhm.
and they're starting with German to English, but not English to German, which is where the vast majority of mid-list and high level authors are going. English to German, English to French, English to Italian. Um, it makes you wonder, like, Amazon's got data. Amazon knows there are a lot of Spanish speaking customers that they maybe want to get. Amazon knows that maybe, like, there are other big German retailers like Tolino and whatnot. Amazon wants more German authors to maybe be exclusive to them and put this English translation out that way. I think that there are so many interesting directions this can go in depending on how Amazon, because they say there's going to be more languages in the future, depending on how they expand this. But um, always looking at the not just the what they're doing, but why they're doing it in the way they're doing it is where we can really see some intriguing data. So, Christine, what do you think are some situations, to go into the hot potatoes of wisdom questions? What are some situations in which you think it would make sense to use the Kindle Translate feature?
Well, exactly what I just said, experimenting. Um,
Yeah.
I view my author career, it's a beautiful experiment because I'm either
Mm.
failing forward or I'm succeeding wildly. So everything is an experiment, and it's low barrier of entry.
Yeah.
You do it with one book, you see how it goes. Um, I, like you, find it interesting that they're starting with the Spanish market, because German translations is all that you really hear about in the author circles. And
Right?
part of me is wondering, not necessarily you mentioned the data standpoint, but if it's from a business standpoint, like, oh, all of the authors are going to run to this, and do we have the capacity, the servers, everything that we need to be able to handle that, or are we setting ourselves up for failure? Um,
Mm.
I think that this is a great opportunity for authors who have a backlist, in a proven backlist,
Yep.
bestsellers in English, and they want to go ahead and try it in a different market.
Yeah. No, I'm intrigued to see how it
Mhm.
goes. Next question from you to me.
How do you think that the author community will the author community rebel against this, or do you think that they will embrace this feature?
This is the big question that's on my mind for sure,
Mhm.
Christine, because look, authors have used AI in art for their covers or their TikTok videos. And there was a rebellion, not so much by readers, but by other authors. Authors have used AI to assist them in their writing, and authors, not readers, are leaving 1 stars or are putting people on a blacklist or whatever. So my question is, if authors see that other authors are using AI audio, if they see that other authors are using AI translations, do those people then end up on the so-called blacklist? This, I don't know. I think that there probably will be some kind of blacklisting,
Mhm.
but here is the thing I want to put out there. You being involved in blacklisting other authors will not increase your book sales.
Mhm.
It won't. It won't. It won't necessarily decrease it, but you're putting energy into a really limiting thing. And I'm going to go to this from the woo woo standpoint.
Mhm.
If you are in the vibration of this person should have less book sales, I wonder if that is also going to put the whammy on you as well.
Well, I wonder how miserable those people are that
I
they're,
know.
instead of writing their books, they're out doing this witch hunt for
Mm-hmm.
for people. I see in my own lane. I mean,
I know.
I see what's going on around me, but I just stay in my lane, do my thing, publish books, make money, talk to authors, coach authors, and you know, I don't get involved in the drama. I let them fight it out, and
Yeah.
you know, They're not.
I think that's for the best.
Mhm.
I think that's for the best. We are moving on into the lightning round, Christine, which means
Mhm.
we need a lightning sound from you.
I don't
I
know.
like that. I like that it exploded out. It was like lightning firing in lots of different directions, like some kind of superhero movie effect. So, Christine, this past year you made a massive royalties comeback.
Mhm.
What would you say authors should think about if they've dropped in royalties and they want to return to their heyday?
I say go back to the basics.
Mm,
Do you have a strong blurb? Do you have a cover that reflects your genre? When was the last time you updated your cover? Do you have a series continuity? Are you
mm,
writing in a series? Even if you're doing standalones, is there something that connects them? So really just get back to the basics of why you got into, well, get back into the basics that you need to market your books. And you always want to remember, why did you choose this career? Audit your backlist and audit the backlist marketing. Do you have a series that you can pull out, put new covers on it, redo the blurbs, and then put it out there in the world, and test new ads, see if the new packaging is converting compared to the
mm,
old one. So, and then my final thing and I did this while I was kind of in this slump, is I stayed engaged with my reader community. They
mm.
knew what was happening. They knew, the when my books were coming out, I had a lot of people ask me questions like, when's the next book coming out? And I'm like, I don't know. Got some other things to focus on right now, health-wise, but back to basics. Back to
I like
basics
that.
and engage your community.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. All right, you've got a question for me.
So, how does ad spend play a role in the royalties comeback? Because we've got little spend, big spends, and I recognize that it magnifies the visibility of books. But how does it play a role in a royalties?
Over and over again.
Mhm.
And we saw it in your case because we worked together through this comeback. I've seen it in other people's cases. More often than not, we get in this kind of sense that, oh, uh, this ad spend is too much. I better pull it back. This ad spend is too much. I better pull it back. I need a better return. This is where I need a better return, so I better spend less, is what I often see from people. And so that starts kind of a backwards roll sometimes, where let's say you're earning $3,000 a month, but you're spending $1,000 a month to get there. You're like, I need a better return, so I'm going to spend less. And then you spend 800 and make 2,800, and you're like, okay, it's a slightly better return. I'm going to try to reduce it even more. You spend 600, you make 2,400. You're like, oh my gosh, it's 4-1 now. This is so great. And then you spend 300 and you make 1,000. And you're like, oh, what do I do? And you forget, or this is what I've seen, is that then you forget that, oh, well, it takes time for ad spend to trickle down through people reading on KU, through people reading through to the rest of the series. And so you're saying today's efforts are leading to tomorrow's results, but really today's efforts are leading to the next month and a half of results. And so we end up really thinking in this short-term way, and we need to think bigger. We need, more often than not, unless you have had great success through organic promotional methods, like books going viral on TikTok, and even if that's the case, eventually spending more is just one of the best ways to increase your bottom line and to increase the overall dollars in profit. And if you are not spending enough, or if you drastically drop your spend, royalties can drastically drop as well. So I think ad spend absolutely can play a big role in these comebacks.
Mhm. Okay. So it's the accelerator to get you
Yeah.
to where you need to go. It's not the engine, which is your books and your blurbs and everything else behind it.
It's an accelerant, but it works on a delay. And that's the frustrating part. It does speed things up, but you might not see all the results from it for a month and a half or 2 months, which is such a pain for us short-term thinkers.
And especially when we go and we look at our ads dashboards and we're like, why haven't the numbers changed? Why haven't nothing changed? I know that things are happening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Christine, some authors worry they won't be able to sell Christian or closed door romance compared to spicy romance. They're like, if I only wrote spicy romance, are there actually some benefits to selling books in these clean subgenres?
Absolutely. Spice will sell immediately, but after a while, people are kind of getting tired. They'll get tired of reading the same thing over and over again in terms of those sexy passages. People want stories. They crave authentic connection. They want emotions. They don't want explicit scenes. So the Christian, closed door, wholesome, however you want to term it, community, these are loyal readers. These are whale readers where they'll read one of your books, and if you are new to them author, they will binge read your entire backlist. And they buy everything that, if you were one of their authors, they will buy everything that you release. They are waiting for that next book. There's a ton of thriving micro niches in clean romance. And, that's actually going to bring me to a question for you, Brian, about how do you tell about these micro niches and if there's an audience for one of them or an audience for one of these subgenres?
I think there's a good rule of thumb here, and people aren't all going to like this. I might get canceled for this. We'll have to see. No, we'll knock on particle board here. So if you can find 10 books that are just like the idea you have with over 200 reviews, it's probably going to be able to support you. If you cannot find 10 books in, I don't know, adventure cozy or space Christian fiction, I have no idea. That would be a really cool one, though. Like Amish space. If you cannot find 10, raising the barn on the moon, if you cannot find 10 books in the subgenre you want to write in with 200 or more reviews, I think you should keep looking. I think you should, don't give up, but I think you should keep looking for other slight spins on the subgenre, because if other people aren't finding a way to support themselves, it's like you brought up earlier, Christine, with not wanting to be the first pioneer into a genre. I think that we want to keep in mind that if you don't want to be the pioneer for a genre and have a 1% chance of success, find 10 books with 200 reviews in that subgenre.
I love that. And that also, does that same information help you when you're determining to write to market?
Absolutely.
At the upper levels?
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think that where people get lost on writing to market is not getting any feedback in the process. I think that the writing to market process, and we're working on some materials for this actually in the future with Best Page Forward, but it requires feedback. I highly recommend, I was just teaching a workshop about this on Friday. Feedback during the outline. Feedback on the blurb that you write before the first draft. Feedback on the first draft. Get feedback from people who know the genre early and often so that you don't get off track on trying to write to market. You combine that with the 200 reviews, 10 books concept, and you have a much better chance of success.
I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And you can use it. Use it with some groundbreakers. Use it with some groundbreakers.
I wrote it down.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, Christine coaches, along with the wonderful Tracy Federchowski, coaches some amazing authors in our Groundbreakers program. If you have any questions about it, email us, brian@sellingforauthors.com. We'll give you more info. So last question of the lightning round, Christine, is what do you think is the best way to step back, just take account of, based on all the information, based on what's come before, based on what we have, what the next steps could be for your author career.
For me personally, or for users in general?
Let's say users in general.
Users in general. Okay. I think if you're going to step back, and I think that it's good to do that once a year, especially if you're starting to plan your next year, is to revisit your why. Why am I doing this? Do I still enjoy the genre that I'm writing in? And, or am I really interested in something over here? And how can I kind of marry those two? But that's more inner work as opposed to diving into your data. And I think that metrics are important, and you do want to keep track of those and review them and say, okay, well, this worked and that didn't. And I believe that you said, Brian, that 80% comes from the 20% that you do. So 80% of your work, of your income, will come from 20% of your work. That's what we want to see. So what was profitable? What worked? Did something change? I'm the perfect example of something changing and not paying attention to the data until my sales tanked. And then it took a little deep dive to go back and say, well, what happened this month? So, that I think is important. What is it that I really want to do within the author community? And I don't do anything, me personally, I try not to do anything with emotion. I'll feel my emotion, but I try not to make decisions from emotions or chaos.
That is a good call. I think that is a good call. Awesome. Great answers, Christine. We need to come up with a question of the week. So there are lots of different things we talked about here. Does anything come to mind as like, I think we should ask our audience a question about this particular subject? I can even come up with the question if you just have the subject.
Well, so we've talked about the fact that publishing, I do coaching, a couple of other things. So that tells me that there are authors that do diverse income streams. So I would love to see a question about how are other authors diversifying their income?
Yeah. How are you diversifying your streams of income other than just putting out books? Great question. I like that, Christine. Folks, you can answer the question of the week over at the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or at sellmorebookshow.com. If you go to christinesterling.com, you'll see how you can join Christine's email list, check out some of her wonderful books. She's got a great few Christmas books that you can check out if you're into clean romance, if you're into Western romance. Go check those out. Thank you so much for joining me today, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me. This has just been a pleasure, and it definitely went on my joy list.
Yay! I'm glad to have made the joy list. Christine will be back next week. Folks, remember, if you are interested in getting wonderful coaches like Christine to coach you for 6 or more months so that you can have your royalties come back or your royalties break through, just shoot us an email, brian@sellingforauthors.com. We'll get you all the info you need. For Christine, I'm Brian. Have a great week of book selling, everybody. And we'll be back next week with episode 606. Bye.
Bye.